hit the books, snag a killer job, walk down the aisle, find your cozy nest, pop out some kids, and voila, happiness on a platter. And remember, a happy wife equals a happy life. That's the script most of us guys follow, right? But here's the kicker. Why the heck aren't we dancing with joy? These days, male suicide rates are soaring, hitting heights we haven't seen in 2 decades. It's like that path doesn't lead to happiness. It leads to, well, not much of anything. Follow the path. School, job, marriage, family, the recipe for happiness, right? Happy wife, happy life, they say. But why the disconnect? Male suicide rates have skyrocketed in the last 2 decades. It's not just about a lack of happiness. It's about the fading pulse of existence. No surprises, really, considering the growing hostility towards men. Male suicides now triple those of women. The statistics are glaring. Male suicides are the second most common cause of death among young men. But the media remains eerily silent, and society seems indifferent. In fact, teenage boys are 5 times more likely to commit suicide than their female counterparts. But here's an interesting tidbit. A feminist once took a swing at these stats, claiming men are just more effective at it due to their inherent violence, also she suggested. But let's examine the history. Back in 1940, the suicide rate was balanced between men and women. So, did women magically become less violent, or did men suddenly decide to turn up the aggression? The surge in male suicides began in the early 70s and has never really subsided. Now, let's talk about the responses we've received from the world. Perhaps what we need is a platform where men can share their thoughts, express their feelings, and expose their vulnerabilities. Historically, this wasn't a widespread notion. Yet, even now, when this notion is floated, it's often presented as an attack. Instead of encouraging openness, the world labels us carriers of toxic masculinity if we don't readily comply. Even when solutions are proffered, they are wrapped in hostility. Unsurprisingly, many men feel like opting out is the better choice in today's tumultuous world. And it's not like we're unfamiliar with either being under attack or being blamed for our troubles. The Office of National Statistics chimes in on rising suicide rates, pointing fingers at economic hardship, alcoholism, and isolation, particularly among middle-aged men. What they don't reflect on is society's collective failing when it comes to men. They overlook the omnipresent anti-male sentiment, from classrooms to courtrooms. Ever noticed how women supposedly want understanding, kind-hearted men, yet they often choose the polar opposite? It's a head-scratcher. And when it comes to navigating these complexities, we're expected to just get it. But how? No one hands us a guidebook on deciphering their cryptic signals. And if we dare seek guidance, we're eyed with suspicion. Apparently, we're expected to be mind readers. And let's not forget how we're portrayed as clueless buffoons in media. Those commercials where dads struggle with basic tasks. Yeah, they don't do us any favors. Our thoughts and ideas often get dismissed even before we voice them. More often than not, our relationships with women prove to be imbalanced on the cost-benefit scale. Pointing out this inequity often labels us as callous materialists. And here's a kicker. While women moving back with their parents is accepted, the same doesn't fly for men. Even when circumstances are dire, numbers don't lie. Social scientists reveal that while 42% of marriages dive into divorce, a staggering 66% of those divorces are initiated by women. Yet somehow, we're painted as the commitment phobes. Divorce isn't merciful to men. Odds are, a man loses primary custody of his children, a hefty chunk of his assets, and a significant say in his future earnings. Plus, divorce tends to nudge him closer to those disheartening suicide statistics. It's deemed acceptable for a woman to choose a partner who earns more than her, but the same choice isn't available to men. And even if it were, societal pressure and shame would likely hold them back. Unlike women, men lack a strong support network. Emotional support among men is a rarity. It's a bond that women share with their closest friends, but rarely among men, including brothers. Instead, we're told to toughen up and man up, as if our emotions are a weakness to be hidden. Suspicion and distrust seem to perpetually shadow us, assuming the worst intentions. If a man is seen with a child in public, onlookers are more inclined to believe he's a potential danger rather than recognizing him as a father. Society's trust in men as caregivers has dwindled. We're instructed to earn the approval of women, but the guidelines to gain that approval often lead to losing respect from both women and fellow men. It's fine for women to set selective standards for their potential partners, yet men are seldom granted the same privilege. We're expected to embrace women and their flaws wholeheartedly, lest we be labeled as inadequate. Our love and value are often conditional. Women, children, and pets are cherished unconditionally, while a man's worth is often linked to what he provides. Once we're deemed expendable, either by an employer or an ex-spouse, dissenting opinions are rare. The world usually sides with employers or ex-partners, and even governments and courts often lack empathy. Expressing discontent with these realities rarely finds receptive ears because, well, you're not a woman. For straight men, it's as if they are viewed as latent dangers needing to be controlled. Meanwhile, women are hailed as the future and nurtured accordingly. This message is amplified globally, driven by societal norms. Unfortunately, as this narrative strengthens, so does male suicide. While disdain for men has been present since the 1960s and 1970s, it once inhabited society's fringes. Nowadays, it's infiltrated mainstream culture, and that's it for today on Sigma Traits. Make sure you hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so you can be the first to know when my new video drops. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. See you all tomorrow.